Continue reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is. We are on chapter 3, Karma Yoga, text 20. Karma neva hi samsiddhim asthita janakadayaha loka sangraham evapi sampashyan kartum arhasi. Kings such as Janak attain perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. So, purport by Srila Prabhupada, kings like Janak were all self-realized souls. Consequently, they had no obligation to perform the prescribed duties in the Vedas. Nonetheless, they performed all prescribed activities just to set examples for the people in general. So, Maharaj Janak, he's one of the Mahajan. He's one of the pure devotees of Krishna who sets the example, he's an authority who teaches us how to engage in devotional service to Krishna. He's one of the 12 great Mahajans. There are many Mahajans, of course, we have the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, but these 12 Mahajans are specifically mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then Mahajano Yena, we should follow in the footsteps of the Mahajan, not imitate, follow. So what is Krishna telling Arjuna? That Raja Janak was there. He's a king. He's a king. He's a pure devotee. He's a pure devotee. And so he didn't need to do all his kingly duties, but he still did it. Why? To set the example. Because what a great person does, the common people will follow. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, you be an example. That's the reason Krishna is speaking the Bhagavad Gita. He's telling Arjuna, now you be the example that people can follow. You perform your work with the desire to please me. So Janak was the father of Sita and the father-in-law of Lord Sri Ram. Being a great devotee of the Lord, he was transcendentally situated. But because he was the king of Mithila, a subdivision of Bihar province in India, he had to teach his subjects how to perform prescribed duties. So Maharaj Janak, he's on the liberated platform. He's a pure devotee. He didn't need to be doing all these kingly duties, but he was a king. So he did not neglect his duty. He did not neglect. He in fact showed his subjects that how they can live happily, do their duties in this world, and also become devotees of the Lord. So he's teaching them how you live peacefully in the material world and also cultivate the spiritual knowledge, make this life the last human life. So Lord Krishna and Arjuna, the Lord's eternal friend, had no need to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra, but they fought to teach people in general that violence is also necessary in a situation where good arguments fail. So Krishna, he never needs to do anything. And he didn't need to push Arjuna, okay, you also fight. But Krishna wants to always teach us, the common people, of how we should act. Before the battle of Kurukshetra, every effort was made to avoid the war, even by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the other party was determined to fight. So, for such a right cause, there is a necessity for fighting. So, even before the war, then Krishna, he went as a messenger of Yudhishthira Maharaj to Duryodhana, and he told them, let's not fight. All the preparations of the war were going on both sides. They were collecting armies and collecting so much armor. Then still, Krishna went on the behalf of Yudhishthira Maharaj as his messenger, said, let's not fight, let's see, we can try to come to a reasonable, amicable solution. We don't need to engage in this warfare. And our Krishna proposed, just give 5 villages. Just give 5 villages to these 5 brothers. They are Kshatriyas, They cannot, because they are Kshatriyas, they need to rule. It's their nature. They can't get employed by other people. They can't live by begging. They're not renunciates. They're not Shudras that they can, work for someone else. And they're not Vaishyas that they're going to grow some land and they're going to grow some food. They're Kshatriyas. So according to their nature, then they need to have some place to rule. So you have such a big kingdom. The whole world at that time belonged to the king of Hastinapur. So he's saying you have this whole world, you just give 5 small villages. And yet Duryodhan said, I will not give even land which is enough to prick a pin in. I will not give. So much envy. So much envy. So then Krishna said, okay, now I have to teach a lesson, So although one is situated in Krishna consciousness, one may not have any interest in the world. He still works to teach the public how to live and how to act. Experienced persons in Krishna consciousness can act in such a way that others will follow. And this is explained in the following verse. So the pure devotees, they do not need anything from this material world, but they act in their position to set an example. And we see Srila Prabhupada, he's a pure devotee. But he set the perfect example. He studied, he went to school, got his degree, he did his work, maintained a family. All the time he was continuing his spiritual duties, never stopped chanting, hearing, always wanted to preach. But he did his family duties perfectly. Then once he saw that his children are big enough, that they are independent, then he left home. He left home for preaching. So he set an example. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he set an example. He was a family man, a grihast. And then he was a judge, High Court judge. And he would go to High Court every day to give the judgments. At the same time, he was writing all these literatures, pure devotee of the Lord, showing that you can work and engage in your spiritual activities, because they do not differentiate that this is my material and this is my spiritual. No, for them, everything is spiritual. Everything is spiritual. Everything is for the pleasure of Krishna. Yeah. Any questions or comments? No, then we'll stop here for today. Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.